I think that the only people who are willing to host the Oscars are probably in this room at this point. That's the way this works.
No, and I think what happened to Kevin Hart, I mean, to me, this is the stuff that is absolutely terrible that's happening in the country.
Well, so I've coined this word that I'm definitely trying to catch on. It's gonna be fetch. I'm really trying to get this word caught. Wokescold.
I actually like this word.
Right? I think it's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Because these people are Wokescolds. This is what they do, and it can be used as a verb also in the fashion that we use all nouns as verbs now.
How many of them are there?
So this is my point. I don't think there are that many of them. So I think I think there are hundreds of thousands. I don't think it's tens of thousands.
Right.
But I think that the ones who are super active and actually get this stuff done, I think you're talking about a group of 500 people.
Right.
Really, I think that, and these are the people who call up Tucker Carlson's advertisers and bug them. These are the people who decide that they're going to go after Kevin Hart on Twitter. It's basically like sleeping giants in Media Matters, and what they do is they sit around all day because they're bored and terrible, awful people.
And rich.
And yeah, some of them are rich. And what they do is they then mobilize to harass one person and ruin that person's life for a day. And then that person goes up the chain and says, my life was ruined today. And somebody says, you know what, it'll just be easier for us to disassociate from this human being. And you know how I know that this is true? Because we have used this tactic ourselves. So Jeremy and I, before we ran Daily Wire, we ran a group called Truth Revolt.
Oh, right.
You were there.
I was there.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Truth Revolt was specifically designed as a mutually assured destruction group. We said this openly, that we hate the tactics we're using, but the left needs to learn that they can't just bully people into silence. And so what we would do is if there was somebody who said something terrible, like Martin Bashir saying that he wanted to defecate into Sarah Palin's mouth, do we actually think that Martin Bashir should lose advertisers over that? Not really. I think he's a schmuck, right? I mean, I think that people shouldn't watch his show, but I think advertisers should be able to advertise wherever they want. But we had a group of activists, and we told all of our activists, call this line at this advertiser and tell them you don't want to see their advertising on Bashir's show. Now, the advertiser doesn't know whether these people were actually shopping with them or getting insurance with them or any of that kind of stuff. All they know is that day, their entire customer service team was overwhelmed with like 30 phone calls. And that was the entirety of it. It was like 30 people who would call. Yeah. And then the advertiser would be asked on Twitter or publicly, are you going to keep advertising on Martin Bashir after he said X, Y, and Z? And they would feel inconvenienced for like a minute. And then they would say, okay, we're pulling our advertising.
Right.
Okay, well, the reason that I'm bringing this up is not because this is a good tactic. It's not. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. Advertisers need to understand that a bad day does not mean that if you kept advertising on Martin Bashir, you would lose your entire business. And this is also true on Twitter. It's true of comedians. Like, this is why Bill Burr, God bless him, is never going to be taken down by these people. Because if these people ever tried to take down Bill Burr by saying, like, you said X 10 years ago, he'd just say F you. Mm-hmm. Right? F you is the most it's the single most powerful tool.
Yeah, so what?
That any of this, so what?
Really,
the person who used to say this to me was Andrew Breitbart, right? Who took as much flack as anybody that any of us have ever known. And he always used to say, and it was hard for him because he's a human being, right? And I take a lot of flack too, and it's hard as we all do in this room actually. He always used to say, walk towards the fire. That one of the empowering things in being on the right, and I think Trump has done this for a lot of people, is the feeling like they're shooting the arrows, and it feels like it feels like, you know, Boromir at the end of the first Lord of the Rings, that you're getting hit with arrow. But at a certain point, you realize the arrows actually don't hit you.
Right.
That they bounce off you. That just saying, you know what, go screw yourself.
Right.
Most people don't care about anything.
And you know what? You know, I've actually taken a fairly big hit for my opinions. I think I can say financially, I've taken a really big hit. I lost contracts in Hollywood that were worth, I'm sorry, but they were worth millions of dollars. You know,
we'd pay you a lot more if your opinions were better.
But you know, in the end, if you're an American, who wants to live afraid? Who wants to live silent? I mean, we all go and talk to college kids, and they always come up and they ask the question, how can I say this and that? And what they really mean is, how can I say this and that without consequence? And the answer is, you can't. You can't. This is what being an American is all about. And we all carry the culture. Every one of us carries the culture in our two hands. We have a responsibility to take some hits.
I got to tell you, this is shocking, but speaking of those college kids, I'm actually more pessimistic than Ben on this, on the woke fetches, on the Wokescolds, which is that I don't think it's terribly small. I think it is, in the broad American population, it's very small, but it skews so young.
Well, that's
true.
There were
so many of these young kids. Jerry Seinfeld
Well, it feels
said this.
powerful. It gives them a feeling of power.
It gives them a feeling of power. And Seinfeld said he won't play college campuses anymore because they call everything racist. They call everything sexist. I see a lot of it. We all do on
And all they have to
campuses.
do is make it slightly, the people that the Wokescolds are aiming at are the people who are decent but kind of apathetic and don't want to be bothered.
Right.
Those are the actual people they're aiming at, not at me and not at Tucker
I'm not sure.
and not at...
What they're really aiming at, and this is one of the great unspoken truths of America, they're aiming at boards of directors of corporations who are risk averse.
Right.
And the unfortunate reality is that the corporate board in America has given us the left-wing agenda. Almost everything that we actually think is wrong in the culture is being promulgated by probably people who donate to Republicans.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money sitting on boards. They probably go to the country club. They've all eaten at Mar-a-Lago. But they're so risk-averse in their business that they give us frivolous sexual harassment policies. They give us pulling money out of anybody who says an opinion that they agree with, but that gets any heat brought on them.
They fund all the colleges.
They fund all the
that,
colleges. I mean, it's too big a topic for us to go to today, but we should on one of these in the future really talk about the danger. How can we win back? How can we give metal and spines to these board members at these companies? Because if they would fight the wars, we wouldn't be losing.